Hey everyone, Justin LaRock here from the Spud Junior. As you all may know, it's probably one of the most important videos that I've ever made in my professional life, in my entire life. I think everybody knows now, if you didn't, what's going on. Obviously throughout the country, but specifically to us in the state of Minnesota, with the mandated closures and the restriction of business, and just the amount of just burden that small business owners in the state of Minnesota have been faced with over the past 9 months, really. But now we're sitting in kind of another unique new position of government telling us what we can and can't do. Now that's a debate for another time, I guess, but in the reality of why I'm doing this video, the debate comes down to the governor deciding who gets to survive, whose business gets to survive the pandemic and whose doesn't. And all the logic and the science, every time he speaks, that he stands at a podium with, is all well and good, but it's only a part of the picture, and it's only a part of the solution. And unfortunately, as we see across the state of Minnesota right now, you have a large number of business owners whose backs are so far up against a wall that their only alternative was to defy the governor's orders and reopen to try and save their business. We don't know what their situations are. They're probably all different, but I guarantee they're all dire. I don't think anybody would have really thought that that was going to be the resort and the avenue that they took to maintain doing business. But we can't always speak for everybody else, and we can't put ourselves in other people's shoes all the time either. So we just have to sometimes trust that they're doing this because they have to, and maybe this is the last ditch effort. But that being said, there needs to be a larger discussion about what's occurring right now in the state of Minnesota alone. The governor just extended our closure to indoor dining, gave us outdoor dining in the middle of winter, but what he did alongside it was justify the extension of these shutdowns with a relief package that was put together, and that I'm sure people are patting themselves on the back because they think they did a good thing. But the relief package wasn't even enough for a lot of people, ourselves included. We don't benefit from it. It's like they write these bills, they write these pieces of legislation with absolutely no outside expertise on the people that these bills are affecting. And what happens is it causes them to take action the way some of these businesses have taken action. And there needs to be more thought that goes into this kind of stuff, because you have elected officials making decisions for the population, and they're making them haphazardly. They're making them without any proper input from the people that they're actually affecting. Because if they did have that insight, they would have made this to make sure that all the businesses that were actually affected were actually going to benefit from it. But that's not what happened. Whether it was intentional, whether it was not intentional, it was still there was still a level of incompetency to it. So I've sat back and I have watched as business after business has defied the order and opened the doors. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't contemplate it. We haven't contemplated it. But, we've made decisions that we think are smart for us. And at this point, taking that action was not one of them. But I couldn't go to bed every single night knowing that my fellow restaurant owners in town had to take that action, and knowing their stories because I've talked to them and I know where they're at. And I couldn't go to bed at night knowing that I'm just going to continue on status quo without standing with them, because they're standing for us. So I've thought long and hard about what can we do? How can we make a stand without, persecuting ourselves and being thrown in as another statistic with the rest of these restaurants? How can we do something different yet still bring awareness to what's going on? And after everything that we've experienced over the past year, I came up with what I thought is the best idea possible. We're going to have a protest in East Grand Forks, Minnesota. We're going to have a protest in the streets. And before anybody hears this and thinks that it's going to be mass chaos, it's not, because that's not how we operate in East Grand Forks. It's not how we operate in northern Minnesota. This is going to be a unique protest. This is going to be ultra true Minnesotan protest. What I'm calling on, what I want people to do, what I'm asking people to do, is if you support the hospitality industry in the state of Minnesota, come on out and protest with us. It's going to happen on January 9th. It's going to start at noon, and it's going to go to 8 p.m. And what the protest is going to consist of is, if you have an ice house, if you can borrow an ice house, if you have an ice castle, bring it down. We're going to put them on 3rd Street, right outside of the Spud. Want to see as many as we can. And it's going to be peaceful. It's going to be more of a sit-in, because let's face it, it's probably going to be 20 below zero. So we're not really going to want to be outside. But bring your generators, heat your unit, bring an appropriate amount of people with you. We still need to be safe. We are still in a situation that precautions need to be taken. But come help support the hospitality industry. Come show your support. Let's line the streets with ice houses and show the governor that something more needs to be done. Different action needs to be taken. Smarter action needs to be taken. Because the way this is going, it's not right for anybody. And it's time that we wake up and we start taking real action. We start making real policy. We don't just stand behind a podium and talk and talk and talk and use facts that fit one narrative. It's time to show everyone. And we're going to do that in East Grand Forks, Minnesota on January 9th at noon. And anybody that wants to come participate, we'll have some follow-up details. You can get a hold of us, reserve your spot, come down, bring your ice house, bring everything you need to sit around for a few hours and show everyone that you support the hospitality industry and the people of our own community, because this community depends on these businesses that are being shut down. And we're a small community, and if we lose a handful of these businesses, we might not ever come back from that. So we need support, we need help, and we need help by just showing up. Part of what we're going to do is, if you want to get a hold of us, you want to come, you want to participate and bring your ice house, what we're asking for is a $40 fee to put your ice house and join the protest. And with those fees, we're going to collect all of them, and we're going to split them up between Joe's Diner and between the Boardwalk Bar and Grill and Jane Moss. And why we're going to do that is because we are a community. What they're doing right now is standing up for us, and this is how we get to stand up for them. So if we can help them, whether it be legal fees for what they're going through, whether it be just money to help them pay a few bills, that's what this money is going to be for. While you're here, the only other thing I ask is order takeout from one of the restaurants in East Grand Forks. I'm in conversations with them right now. Hopefully we have enough delivery drivers. We can deliver them on site. But just make a takeout order from any restaurant in East Grand Forks. While you're here, have some great food. Come out for a cause. Come out for a unique cause. But know that you're making a difference by choosing to stand with us in this peaceful sit-in protest. And it's going to be peaceful. It's going to be set in, again, because it's probably going to be 20 below zero. But it's going to be totally unique Minnesotan. So for anybody that's ever seen Fargo, it's going to be Fargo 2.0. Thanks for listening. I hope everybody understands that this is bigger than a social media spat back and forth over an article. Real people are being affected. Real people need help. Real change needs to happen. It needs to happen at all levels and how we're doing government in all facets of government, federal, state, local, everything. I want to thank Senator Mark Johnson. I want to thank Representative Deb Keel for supporting us all through this. It's been good to know that we have people in our corner. And right now we need everybody in our corner. And it shouldn't matter what letter comes before your name if you're an elected state representative. So if you support us, watch the follow-up details. We'll let you know how you can get a hold of us, reserve your spot. Love to see you out. Let's raise some money for 2 businesses that we need to continue doing business in East Grand Forks. And let's bring awareness that it's about time that we figure this out and we start supporting ourselves as fellow Minnesotans. Thank you very much. Everyone have a Merry Christmas.